What's up, guys? Welcome to the motherfucking jungle, boys. In this video, we're going to be going over a full loot guide for metal parts and all of the best locations to find them in all of the maps. Just before we start the video, just letting you guys know this is a giveaway video. If you guys would like to enter a chance to win a $10 PSN code, Xbox or Switch code to buy any Vigor crowns or anything else you want, to enter the giveaway, make sure you're subbed to the channel, as well as follow me on Instagram at CrazyGorillaX, and comment down under this video what system you play on, as well as your funniest Vigor memory. And in a few weeks time, I'll randomly pick 3 winners that follow these steps, and I'll be announcing the winners in the pinned comment of this video, as well as the beginning of the next video. For those of you that missed the giveaway or see the video too late, I'll be doing giveaways in the future, so make sure you sub to the channel so you can tune into those as well. So good luck, guys. Now let's get into the metal part loot guide. Alright guys, so the first map that we're gonna go into is Valley. Alright, so this is the legend. As you can see here, these are all the dots. So you have light blue and red. Light blue being the combination lockboxes and red being hotspot locations. So obviously from looking at the map right here, you see a whole lot of blue lockbox locations. It's important to know that these are all of the possible spawn locations, but only up to 3 combination boxes can spawn in each encounter. There's a possibility that it could be more depending on how big the map is, but in my personal experience, I've never seen more than 3 in one map. Let alone, I don't think I've even seen more than 2, but I'm just saying 3 to be safe. So since that's the case, don't let it discourage you if you go to your first blue box spawn location and a blue box is not there. In my own experience, within the first 4 spawn locations that you go to, you should find at least 1 blue combination box. And the amount of metal parts that you get from opening one by default is 40, but if the loot is boosted, it can go up to 60 and maybe above. That's beyond my knowledge. As for all the hotspots that I marked in every map, something to note is that it's kind of a hit or miss. But for the most part, 95% of the time, there will be at least 2 metal part boxes within every single hotspot location that I marked on every single map we're gonna go into. And just saying real quick, for your overall extraction, on average, every map that you go into, you should extract with at least 80 metal parts. If you're grinding it out, you can get up in the hundreds. All right, just need to get that information out the way. Let's get into the next map. All right, so for battery, this is for the regular battery and the snow one. The best location to really find anything is at the southeast part of the map, where you see most of the combination lock boxes, as well as a hotspot on that main road. You could also go to the car lot where you see the other hotspot location, but for that, it's kinda hit or miss because metal parts, they don't always spawn in cars. So even though it is a hotspot, it's still hit or miss. So just go down to the southeast part of the map and loot that area. All right, so going into Philly here, there's not really much locations because it's just a mountain range, but the best location to even find a lockbox is down at the church. You most likely will at least find one around that area. If you don't, go to the other locations. The best hotspots are within the plane crash area, where either the plane crashed or there's remains of the plane. All right, pulling up Fiske. The best locations to find lockboxes are within the middle part of the eastern part of the map, but for the hotspot, just plain and simple, is just the tunnel. You have the other one over there in that parking area, but if you go to the tunnel, there is so much metal parts. And as you can see, I put 2 hotspot markers just indicating enter and exit point of the tunnel. Going into Sagbruk, you already see all of the lockbox locations. The best one to go to is obviously the Fisherman's. You most likely will find at least one. And for hotspots, train tracks are the best hotspot for metal parts in the entire game. So any map that has train tracks like Sagbruk, Station, Bridges, etc., go to them, you will find metal parts. Another possibility of a huge hotspot is the little shack at the northern part of the map and the lot that's just under it. Within that whole area, there can spawn a lot of metal parts. This is Bridges. As you can see, the hotspot of the train track, as well as the south aspect of the map. You see the main road. On that road, there is a high possibility of finding metal part boxes around tanks. That is another hotspot within Vigor for metal parts, but it's hit or miss. But if you're around tanks, always check around it because there's a high possibility of finding metal parts. Going in the station, the best hotspot is obviously on the entire train track. It's not just on that pinpoint location, it's the entire train track. There's also a lot where I marked the other hotspot. That one is also hit or miss, but if you find metal parts in that lot, there will most likely be at least 2 boxes. So yeah, just for station, you want to go to either the barn at the southern part of the map to find a lockbox, or mainly within the northeastern range of the map to find lockboxes. If you go to those aspects and you don't find any, you know, just search around the middle range of the map to find some lockboxes. Going into Dverg Forest, on the water, you can see the hot spot on the north and the south end. The best place to find metal parts within Dverg is specifically trails that end at water, not just at the shoreline of a random area. It has to be at the end of a trail. Going into Anikken, as you can see, the yellow player marker, this is the best place to spawn because on that aspect of the island is most likely where you'll find a lockbox on spawn. But don't just run there. Obviously check all the other places as you're going there. As you can see within the little bits of ice that connect each island, these can spawn metal parts. I didn't mark them as hot spots because it's a hit or miss. It's either wire or metal parts, but the main hotspot location is at the shipwreck. Going into Kjerstin, the best hotspot location is the dam. On the top of the dam, like on the outside before you go in, but more so on the inside is where you'll find the most metal parts in KJ. The hotspot locations just south of the little lake, that is normally where a signal detector spawns, and there's a lot of tanks around that area. Tanks have a high percentage of being a hotspot for metal parts. The other hotspot is at kind of like a cliff area where I've personally seen up to 2 metal part boxes. There could be more combination lockbox spawns within this map because there isn't a lot, as you can see on the screen, that I marked. There could be more within the dam, and there could be more on the south end of the map. But like I was saying in the beginning of the video, I only marked places that I had a high percentage of being sure that they spawn. Just with Myren, it's kind of a new map. You see, there's not really that much lock boxes that I marked because I wasn't really sure, but I just wanted to mark the ones that I was sure of and that I've experienced. There could be a lockbox that spawns within the main border area, but I wasn't sure of it because it's not really a living environment. It's just kind of like these little buildings, but they could spawn a box in there. I just wasn't sure of it. Going into the hot spots within one of the parking lots and one of the trenches, you may find metal parts within the minefield near where tanks are at. I just didn't put a hot spot. Like I was saying, finding metal parts near tanks, there's a high possibility, but it's a real hit or miss. Within all of these maps, I only marked the buildings that the lock boxes are in. I didn't pinpoint the exact location for most of them. So if you're going into a house and you're confused on where to go, I'm gonna show a span of several clips on how to find the lock boxes depending on what house you're in, as well as the Kjerstin Dam, just so nobody's confused confused, these clips I'm about to show are only for navigation and trying to figure out where the lockboxes are. These clips aren't set for any specific map. It's just that in Vigor, there's only a few types of houses that are in each map and they all look the same. These clips are just showcasing where the lockboxes will be in the houses. For those of you that don't know how to open the lockboxes, you go in and you just cycle through numbers and your controller will vibrate or it will blink green over a number, and that's how you know you're hitting the right combination. You do that for all 4 numbers and it will open. All right guys, so after going over all of that we just went over, there are also a few different ways that you can get extra metal parts, and that is building the scrap bin or looting other different kinds of loot boxes that can carry just a few metal parts. One of those loot boxes being the big red toolbox, not the small one, because the small one only really has consumables in it. The other loot box that has metal parts in it is the blue airdrop box, the one that looks exactly like the red airdrop box. The blue airdrop box normally carries metal parts or chemicals. As for the scrap bin, now the only use of the scrap bin is to generate metal parts while you're not playing, or to generate the extra metal parts so you can invest it into other improvements. But for the most part, for new players, this is something that you should avoid, and at most build it to level 3. Why? Because as you can see within this section right here, it costs other materials to build, which you'll just be wasting to make whatever extra metal parts that you can make in 1 to 2 matches. As a beginner, just avoid the scrap bin and just focus on looting. Now, if you're more established in the shelter or a veteran player that has a whole lot of things built, it may be good to build the scrap bin because you don't even need to play to get metal parts. But you could just play 2 matches and get 250 metal parts anyway. So if you're a veteran, let's just explain real quick. You could build the scrap bin and not have to focus on looting metal parts, and alone within 3 days able to collect the metal parts needed for, say, these box of herbs. So that's what I meant by only building it for the purpose of investing it into other improvements. And I know as a new player, given everything I just said about why maybe veterans should build it, don't even start to have thoughts of like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, let me do that. No. No, like, I'm actually serious. You'd be literally wasting so much resources. Wrapping it up on the scrap bin, if you're a beginner and you just started out in Vigor, don't even worry about the scrap bin until your shelter is already more than halfway built. Once it gets to that point, it makes a little bit more sense to build the scrap bin, because you won't be really wasting that much because you already built far enough in the shelter. So as a beginner, you should be saving your metal parts so you can invest into other more meaningful improvements. And for veterans, you could do honestly whatever you want. And just a quick other 2 ways that you can make metal parts is either from doing challenges or opening specifically crates of the common and uncommon rarity. You guys may be wondering, I didn't mention the more high tier loot locations like the safe, board house, or the main locked container. This is because the metal parts is kind of a lower tier loot slash resource, so 9 times out of 10 they probably won't spawn in those loot locations. The only one that it may spawn in is within the time safe, but still it's kind of like a hit or miss, because those loot locations are more for higher tier loot. And since those locations are for more higher tier loot, the risk is also higher when going in and looting them. But overall, it's not a good place to loot because the risk is too high, as well as you're probably a new player, so that's not good either. So going on the outskirts of the map and going to the different locations that I have marked are the best ways to get metal parts. Alright guys, that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There are a few people I want to shout out that helped me make this video, showing them on screen right now. Also, I want to shout out the YouTube channel Hench. I looked and saw his video about his lockbox battery video, just to double check to see if the locations that I thought as well as marked on my own map were correct. I just want to give a shout out to them because I know that video probably took a really long time, and you know, it helped me make this video. Every other map I did from scratch, just based off of what I felt was the right locations. There's no cheating over here. I'm just saying the people that helped me kind of perfect the locations. If you guys want to join a Vigor group on PlayStation, you can send me a friend request at CrazyGorillaX. We'll add you in there if you need people to play with, want to chat, or you want to dominate in the Outlands. Also, if you guys are into any live streams, make sure you sub to the channel so you know when I go live. If you have any questions or video suggestions, you can comment them down below, and I'll either help you in the comments or make a video about it. I hope this video helped you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.